Hello, dear children. Today we are going to learn yet another chapter called Going to School, which is part of a big novel called Nervous Condition, written by a Kenyan playwright and very famous writer, Tsitsi Dangarembga. She was born in Rhodesia. Rhodesia is a country in Africa, and this is the time when British were ruling this country, right? So here we would read this story in first person, which means the narrator is going to use I or we throughout the story. Now, let's learn a little bit about the background of the story. Let's first understand who are the main characters of the story. The first character that we must know about is Tambu. Tambu is the narrator herself, and she's telling her own story. Tambu is a girl of about 14 years of age, and she faces the problem of gender bias. Just like in India, girls are given less importance than boys. There used to be a time like that, not anymore, I hopefully. Only in interior villages it is like that. But in Rhodesia as well, she used to face this, girls used to face this problem. So girls were given less importance. They were not sent to school, and boys were sent to school instead. So Tambu also had a brother, and he was sent to school, and she was not sent to school because the father family was very poor. The father was an alcoholic. The mother was a simple housewife. So they used to stay in a homestead. Homestead means a village house. And she used to take care of the farm along with her sister and her parents. Um, they preferred, although they were poor, they could gather all the money to send the son to study in a missionary school, which was run by their Tambu's uncle, the father's brother. His name was Baba Mukuru. After Tambu's brother died, Baba Mukuru allowed another child to take his place and continue the studies. So Tambu raised her hand, and instead of her brother, she went to Baba Mukuru's missionary school. So he was the principal of the school. He was a person who used to love following British culture. And since he was running a missionary school and he liked British culture, he was almost like a British person in behavior. Although he looked black, but he behaved like a British person. And he had his daughter called Nyasha, and she also used to go to a missionary school. And their culture, the culture of their family, was more like the British people. Baba Mukuru's wife's name is Mai Guru, and we're going to read about her as well. She's a very learned person. She's well educated, and she also earns money, but she gives all her money to Baba Mukuru. Baba Mukuru was a very strict father, and there were many things which he believed were not followed or not believed by his daughter. So the father and the daughter used to have clashes. Baba Mukuru and Nyasha used to have clashes. Now let's go ahead with the story to see when Tambu goes to the missionary school, what happens at Baba Mukuru's house, her uncle's house. Nyasha finished her breakfast. We set off our schools. In the first paragraph, you would see that the two girls, Nyasha and the writer, both of them are preparing to go to school. Every day, they would wear blue gym slips and go to school, and identical briefcases, and they would actually look like sisters. They were blood related cousins. And Tambu had thought of the reasons that she would, or the answers she would give if somebody told her or asked her who she was, and she would proudly say that they are cousins. In the second paragraph, she says, thus begin my period of reincarnation. Reincarnation means when a person dies and then he takes birth again. There's a new birth. So she's calling this period of her stay within her uncle's house a reincarnation. Why? Because she had left the village life and now she is into a town life. And the life that she was living in the village is much different than the life that she is going to live now in the town. with egotistical faith for 14 short years during which my life had progressed very much according to plan. I expected this era to be significantly profound and broadening in terms of adding wisdom to my nature. She is very hopeful that when she is here with her uncle in his family, she will have a lot of changes in herself. She will have more knowledge, she will have more wisdom, she would know more etiquettes, she would know more about how to live better. Because in the village where she lived her 14 short years, it was full of hardship, full of poverty, full of everything depriving, right? In short, I expected my sojourn to fulfill all my 14-year-old fantasies. She had so many dreams as a 14-year-old girl, but nothing could be fulfilled because of her background that she had in her village. So now she's hoping that the short period of time that she's going to be here, in that particular time, she is hopeful that she will fulfill all her dreams. And then she's also talking about the writers, let's see, freed from the constraints of the necessary and the squalid, the defined and delimited the activated home. Activity at home. I invested a lot of robust energy in approximating to my idea of a young woman of the world. So now she's looking forward to a new life, because when she was living in a village, her chances of prospering was very limited, and she had very few things that she could count on. She could only dream of the big things. But now that she is in the city, she is hoping that all her dreams and all her hopes can get fulfilled, right? I was meeting outside myself many things that I had thought about ambiguously, things that I had always known existed in other worlds, although knowledge was vague. Things that had made my mother wonder whether I was quite myself or whether I was carrying some other presence in me. So she is talking about the things when, as a village girl, she could only dream of. Okay, so when she used to see them or hear about them, she would also fantasize about the city people, how they move, how they walk, how they wear clothes. She also wanted to be like that. But it was not possible because of her limitations of the financial background, or she being a girl, right? And now she thinks, I had thought about it, so now she's also wondering that all those hopes and dreams that she had, and now it looks like it is a dream which is coming true, and it looks like whatever she used to think in her mind are now going to be true. It looks like it's real. And she's also wondering how her mother used to think when she used to keep dreaming about the city life. Her mother used to tell her that if you are okay, right, her mother would wonder if she's by herself. And then she would only she couldn't say anything to her mother because she only could dream away. Because for other people in the village, it was not like her. For other people in the village, they knew what their reality was, and they did not have any urge to rise high. But she was different from the others. She had her aims, she had her goals in front of her, and she knew she had to fulfill them. So when she used to talk or think about those, others would feel like her mother would feel that she's not by herself. She's not quite herself. It was good to be validated in this way. Most of it did not come from the lessons they taught at school. Now, what does she mean? It was good to be validated in this way. What way is she talking about? So she likes the fact that now she is in the town, and the way she has to behave here is much different. And also, she sees that the way she is performing or the way she is behaving in the town, they're appreciated. But if the same thing was done, how she walks or how she studies hard and she's getting more scores, this was not appreciated in the village because nobody paid any attention to that. But here, if she's performing well, people are praising her and she likes that. Most of it did not come from lessons. Also, she's talking about the books also. that if she was reading a book and she gained knowledge from it, that knowledge couldn't be shared with the people with whom she lived in the village. But here, when she's reading a book, she can make use of this knowledge, and she can easily connect to the things that are written in these books. Most of it did not come from the lesson. So whatever lesson she was getting, whatever wisdom she was learning, she's giving credit to writers like Enid Blyton and Bronte's sisters. So she used to read these writers, and she actually is showing her gratitude to these authors and telling them they have taught her a lot, and she really appreciates the knowledge that they helped her to gain. But this was of no use if she was in the village, right? It was a centripetal time with me at the center. So now she is so positive about life, and she's saying that whatever is happening, centripetal means aimed at the center. So everything is centered to her, and she feels like a spotlight, that whatever she wants, everything is coming towards her. Everything is ready to go to her, and she's accepting, she's trying to absorb everything that she could from the environment. When I tried to describe to Nyasha a little of what was happening in my world, so all these books that she's reading about Enid Blyton, Bronte sisters, these are all from the library of Nyasha, her cousin. Okay, so more than school, she's giving credit to her cousin's library. From her book, she has learned a lot. In the next paragraph, she says, when I tried to describe Nyasha a little of what was happening in my world, she laughed and said I was reading too many fairy tales. So Nyasha and the author, they become very close friends. As cousins, they were already cousins, but they are now also very close friends, best friends, maybe you can say. And she likes to reveal whatever secrets she has in her heart. So Tambu tells Nyasha that all whatever changes she is facing right now, whatever changes she is enjoying, whatever changes are making meanings to her life, she used to share everything with Nyasha. And Nyasha, who was born and brought up, she is so used to this life. When somebody is telling such flowery words about these lives, she's actually finding it funny, and she's calling them too fairy tale-ish. She preferred reality. So Nyasha is always not a person who lives in a dreamland. Okay, she likes to face the reality. So according to her, the hopes and dreams that she is building, Tambu is building, according to her, these are only fairy tales. You should know the harsh reality. And there are so many real things, like she was going through a historical phase. She's going through a historical phase. She reads a lot of books that were about real peoples and the suffering, the conditions in South Africa, which she asked. So Nyasha also had her own interest and her own choice of books. She was very close to reality all the time. So she would not talk about hopes and possibilities and probabilities, right? And dreams. She wouldn't talk about those. She was more into reading about things that are going around the country, different countries, things that people are facing on a daily basis. So her mother, my guru, to compare with her own situation and end up arguing. So she talks, Naisha is talking about real people. She's talking about the people, the Black people, how they are suffering in Africa, South Africa, right? Excuse me. And she's telling her mother that our condition is bad, right? And our condition, so the Black people are suffering. And she's telling her mother that so we are also the same way, we are also suffering like that. But my guru used to convince her that no, we are better off. We had better homes, so they had a better house, they had better clothing, they had better society where they could mix in up. So my guru does not agree with her, and she says that no, we are in a better situation, and ended up arguing with her when my guru said we were better off. Then she gives the examples of the Arabs on the East Coast who are suffering. There are wars going on, and there are women who are suffering there. They have to, follow the Sharia law, and they have to um, also faced gender bias there. And the British on the West about the Nazis. So British on the West means, of course, the British people were also, what they were doing. They were also invading other countries. Nazis, that means she's talking about Germany. She's talking about Hitler and how he was dominating the people in Germany and torturing them. Japanese people were suffering there because of the atom bomb attack by America. So she had nightmares about these things, the atrocities, but she carried on. So she is basically devastated by learning about all the violence and all the political changes that are going around the world. But she carried on reading all the same because she said you had to know the facts if you're going to find the solutions. So her main aim of reading such news was because she wanted a solution to that. She would follow these news, she would read about them, and she was hopeful to find some solution. She was certain the solutions were there. She wanted to know many things. For example, whether the Jews' claim to Palestine was valid. So you must be knowing Israel and Palestine, they're also having a war. Both of them claim Israel as their own country. And so she also wonders if if the Jews are claiming Palestine to be their own, are they correct? So she actually looks for evidences and she's talking about facts, not the fairy tales. So she advised concerning my fairy tales and where is it gone? So she advised concerning my fairy tales and my reincarnation. Enjoy it while you can. These things don't last. So Nyasha is a very practical lady, practical girl, and she does not believe in fairy tales. But the narrator Tambu had hopes and dreams, like I told you, and she firmly believed in her dreams. And she helped me to enjoy my transition by pointing out which books were worth reading. So this is how Nyasha was actually helping the narrator, Tambu. So everything was not fairy tale-ish, she wanted to say, and she showed her some good books to read, and so she did. So there were some things which were in contrast with Baba Mukuru and the girl, his son Nyasha. For example, Nyasha was totally into this girl. So they were very best friends, and Nyasha showed her friendship. She demonstrated that she liked her so much. So she did a lot of things. She gave her books. She also straightened her hair. So she helped her put ribbons in her hair, filed her nails, right, and painted bright purple. And sometimes, so she filed her nails and painted her nails purple, although Baba Mukuru did not like it, right? So Baba Mukuru also had his own beliefs, and this was something he did not like. Why are you putting such dark nail polish? It's not good. Maybe he would say like that, right? By cooking with me heavily spiced dishes. So my guru and Nyasha had the same choice of eating. Baba Mukuru and Tambu had the same choice of eating. So Baba Mukuru and the narrator did not like spicy food, but my guru and Nyasha used to like spicy food. Not only I was succeeding in my own context. So next, after this little discussion about the family of likes and dislikes, here the narrator is talking about the school life. Now, what happens in the school? When they go to school, how is she performing there? Not only was I succeeding in my own context, but in other people's as well. So she's making good progress. If she had left the village and she has come to a town school, a missionary school, she's not doing bad at all. I had not been going to school long before I realized that Nyasha did not have many friends. The girls did not like the way she spoke. They were still imitating her behind her back when I went to the mission, which was 3 years after Baba Mukuru's return. So you must understand There were some girls who were white, and they would follow British culture, right? And they were also they knew everything that the British people would behave, how they would behave like. And Nyasha knew how to exactly follow the British culture because she was born and brought up in that environment. But again, there were divisions amongst these girls. So some people would frown upon the Africans, and the Africans would frown upon the whites. So they would not like each other, or the way they used to dress up or behave or eat, right? So the writer found out that Nyasha was actually not appreciated by all. And Nyasha did not have any friends. As it turned out, it was not Nyasha's accent they disliked, but Nyasha herself. She thinks she's white. They used to sneer. Because she used to behave like people who were white, the other girls would dislike that thing. That why would she behave like a white girl if she's a black? She's proud, pronounced others. She's loose. The most vicious condemned her. The way she dresses for the Saturday night dances and the way she was acting with George or Johnson or Matthias or Chengita is obvious. So these are all black girls, but they're still retaining their own culture. But Nyasha, in the other hand, she was a girl with British culture, right? She was not like these other African girls. And now they don't like anything about Nyasha, neither the way she used to dance, the way she used to talk, or the moves. Nothing. They didn't like anything in her. That she could get away with anything because she was headmaster's daughter. Also, they were jealous because she was the headmaster's daughter, so they thought that she was acting way too much. I was lucky not to have been endowed with any of the spices. My English soon became fluent from all the reading I was doing from talking to Nyasha all the time. So the narrator liked Nyasha, although she knew that Nyasha was not liked by the other girls. And because of Nyasha's company, she made very good improvement. She was learning English well. Now she could read and write well. She and the narrator Tambu, she would speak English but without an accent, whereas Nyasha would speak with an accent, a British accent. I was not the headmaster's daughter, but a poor relative whose background was as needy as anybody else's, if not more so. So she's also telling here, I'm not the daughter of the headmaster. Baba Mukuru is only my uncle, and I am needed. I am a needy person, and because of my background, he has allowed me to study here. As far as boys were concerned, I was obviously uninterested. So she was not interested. People of this age, 14 years of age, mostly, they're interested in boys, are interested in girls, and girls are interested in boys. But she was one person who was not interested. So Nyasha pleaded she could not often include me to go to a record night at the Bait Hall. So Nyasha would ask her to accompany her to a nightclub, but she did not prefer it because she knew that she had a mission in her life. She had an aim in life. She had come here for a reason, to study. So she did not like to spend time with the boys. And there was another reason, and the reason was just that she could not dance. I had come to the mission for solemn reasons that dancing. So she's revealing here that she is there because she has a bigger reason, right? To study, not to dance. But Nyasha used to love dancing, and she used to love going to the nightclubs. And she also wanted the she also wanted her cousin to accompany her. She wanted to present a united youthful front that took Baba Mukuru could not forbid her going because the dances were a school activity from which it would not be appropriate to debar his daughter. He believed them to be sinful all the same. So Baba Mukuru and Naisha's conflicts were very constant. The food they eat was not preferred by each other. So if one liked spicy, the other did not. Here also you can see that Naisha liked to dance, but her father was strictly against it. But he could not say no to it because she was also learning how to dance. She wanted to present a united youthful front that took the position that were not but I would bury my nose in the wind in the willow and tell her that I could not dance. So when Nyasha wanted her to go to a party again, what excuse would Tambu make? She would start reading a book, and she would show that she's so busy reading the book that she doesn't have time to dance at all. The Wind in the Willows is a book that she is talking about. She's reading this book. Each teacher liked me. They were always asking me to keep order. So, what was her reputation at school? She was a very good student, liked by everyone, appreciated by everyone. And also, when the teacher left the class alone, she was supposed to mind the class. It was surprising and strange. In spite of this, my class, so here, they were always asking me to keep order when they had to leave the classroom, always citing my diligence as an example to the rest of the class. So the teacher would give her example that see how hardworking this girl is. In spite of this, my classmates elected me. So, but her friends were never jealous of her. In fact, everybody liked her, and she became the monitor of her class at the beginning of the third term. It was surprising and strange. Nyasha, my teachers, my classmates, I was not used to being so warmly liked. So, this is a completely different life that the narrator was living here in the city. She's getting so much of importance. She's like the center of attraction for everything. Everybody likes her. The teachers like her. Nyasha likes her. The classmates like her. And she's saying that this is too much for me. I cannot take this. It was so warm. She actually loves the fact that she's given so much of importance by everyone. The only thing that was not strange in those days was that I continued to be one of the best students in my class. So the Tambu was a very intelligent girl, and Baba Mukuru had a lot of hope from her, and she was able to fulfill all his hopes too. The standard at the mission was higher than at Rutivi school, and we had tests often, but I performed better there than I had done at home because Baba and my guru knew that my schoolwork was important and did not disturb me when I was studying. I could not help being pleased with myself and with the way things were turning out, but it was a wholesome pleasure in living that people could respond to positively. So no one took offense. Generally, people were pleased with me too. So her stars were on her side, and she finds this school much better than her previous school, which is Rutivi school, because in her previous school, it hardly mattered if she was doing good or bad, or if she was doing well in her studies or not. Her parents were not bothered if she's studying, but here the uncle Baba Mukuru and her aunt Maiguru, both of them were keeping a watch on her progress, and they're guiding her all the time, and they have expectations from her, and she's able to fulfill their expectations. She is able to get good grades. So everything was working for her at the end. And no wonder later she becomes such a successful writer, right? And she was happy that everybody was pleased with her. So that's the story of this girl called Tambu. And let's see what other questions. Describe the relationship between Nyasha and the narrator. They were both cousins, and they shared a very close relationship with each other. They loved each other a lot. They trusted each other a lot. Nyasha gave access to her library to the narrator, and she also helped her understand which are the good books that she should read. They also had good time. Nyasha used to file her nails, color her nails, straighten her hair. So this shows that they had a very close, strong relationship, not only as cousins but also as friends. What does the narrator mean when she says we were a unit? It means they were together. Okay, so it means that they were part of a family. This is a phrase which was used in the beginning of the phrase when she was going to the school as a new student, and she wondered what people would think who they were, and if somebody asked her, she can tell them that they were blood related cousins and they were a unit. What was her idea of a young woman of the world? Narrator's idea of young woman of a world is one who is educated, who's full of wisdom, who could read, write, who could express her feelings, who could tell her dreams to the world. What were the prevalent situations in the world that she wanted more information about? So, of course, from the books that Nyasha had given, she had given her books which told what was going all around in the world. She gave her some books which were related to Nazis, the Japanese people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. She also showed her some books which were related to the Jews and the Palestines, right? And she wanted to know about these countries if they are fighting for the right cause. Um, the narrator also uh, read books by Enid Blyton and the Bronte sisters, and I think they helped her see places through their books, right? So she gave a lot of prevalence to the book, all the books that she read, and she thought that every book was important and every book had some knowledge to give. What was the difference between the narrator's choice of books and Nyasha's reading? So let's see this. The narrator would like to read about Enid Blyton stories. So most of the time, Enid Blyton and Bronte sisters would would write books which were fairy tale-ish, which were not related to reality, and they were far from real. And so here it is written. Just give me one moment while I check that. So you would see here. I think it was in the next page here, where she was talking about the Bronte sisters and yeah, so here it is. This is, she says that so Nyasha used to read everything from Enid Blyton to Bronte sisters, and she also responded to them all. Plunging into these books, she knew that she was being educated, and she also was full of gratitude to the authors because of such books. But her cousin Nyasha taught her how to transition from reading fairy tale-ish books to reading books about real people, their sufferings, the conditions in South Africa, etc. Okay, you can write others also. They're about Nazis, Japanese. You can write that also. Moving on to the next question. So the next question is, uh, what was the difference between narrator's choice of books? Question number 5. What was the difference between the narrator's choice of books and Nyasha's reading? So the narrator first used to read fairy tale-ish stories of Enid Blyton and Bronte sisters, and Nyasha used to read books about real people, real life, and their sufferings, etc. Why did Nyasha's classmates dislike her? That's because they felt that she was too British in nature, and she behaved like a British person. They did not like the way she used to move, talk, or behave in the class. They thought that she was pretending to be like someone which she is not. That is why they did not like her. Also, they were jealous. And also, they thought that she was more privileged because she was the daughter of the principal. Why was the narrator indebted to Nyasha? Yes, she was indebted to Nyasha because Nyasha was a person who had shown her and helped, shown her many things, and she has learned a lot of things from Nyasha. For example, Nyasha showed her what good books to read. She had given her the access to her library so she could read any of Nyasha's books. Nyasha also taught her, because of Nyasha's company, she could speak English fluently. She could read and write more, and because of Nyasha, she could also learn about the sufferings and pains of people happening around the world. They used to cook together in the kitchen, so obviously there was also some kind of knowledge that she was getting from her company, and in that way, right? So of course she was indebted to Nyasha. Indebted means abhari. In Hindi we say abhari hona, right? Next is, what were the things that interested Nyasha? What was she curious to know about? So Nyasha was always interested to talk about real people. She wanted to know what was going around in the world. She thought that the people were suffering. Many people were people in many countries are suffering, and she thought that the conditions in Africa, South Africa, was not good, and that the people in South Africa, like us, she also counted herself that she thought that people like her are suffering, but her mother told her not to compare her situation with the others. She also read about the Arabs, and she talked about the Jews in the Palestine, and she wanted to know if it was a valid thing that the Jews were claiming, if they wanted Palestine as a country of their own, right? So they can write all of these. Naisha was also not only reading books about real life and real people. Nyasha was also interested in going in dancing, and she liked to go to the nightclubs. The name of the nightclub is mentioned. Please have a look at it, and you should mention the name of the nightclub. She was interested in dancing with the boys. So basically, she was interested in boys and going to the nightclubs to dance with them. And since dancing was her passion, she would also ask the narrator to accompany her without letting her father know. She liked to cook as well, as you could see. That is why she used to take the recipe book of my guru, and she would cook in the kitchen with the writer. So here are the questions. We can do the rest in class, or you can do these questions, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So here, let's just discuss. Read these extracts and answer the questions with reference to the context. Question number 1. Here's the whole thing, the paragraph. How old was the narrator? It's written here 14 short years. So she was 14 years old. What changes did she want to witness in herself? She expected this era to be significantly profound and broadening in terms of adding wisdom to her nature, clarity to her vision, and glamour to her person. Which era is she referring to? So she is referring to the era when she's at her uncle's house, Baba Mukuru's house. She has left the village. She's in a city life now, and she's in a different school, and she's referring to this era. But at that time, I was convinced I would be more. Okay, so what's the question? Question number 2. Let's see. In what ways was the narrator different from Nyasha? Uh, she did not jive. She did not dance. Jive means to dance, right? Because she did not like Western music, and she never learned how to dance. Why did she feel that she would be more of an embarrassment for her than an asset? Because she did not know how to dance and she doesn't enjoy the beats, so she would not be able to perform well. So definitely, if you would go with Nyasha, she will only be an embarrassment for her. What were the narrator's reasons for coming to the mission? Yes, she had a broader reason. She wanted to see the world. She wanted to gain more knowledge. Uh, she had come here for a solemn reason. Solemn reasons means you cannot just write down she came here for the solemn reasons. What were those solemn reasons? She could see that there was gender bias in her country, because of which she suffered. She could not go to the school because she was a girl, and she knew that other girls were also suffering. And this was something which she was displeased of. She wanted to study, and she believed that other girls like her would also like to study. She wanted to do something for that. She also wanted to gain more knowledge. She wanted to see the world. She wanted to learn more about the world outside. She wanted to confront the world that was always in her dream. So when she came to the city life, it was all possible. Right? So you can write the answers. If you understand the chapter, you can also write down the questions and answers from your own mind. A little extra would always help you too. impress the teacher who's checking your papers, right? So this is all about going to school. I hope you understood this chapter. I've given you line by line expression. If you still have any questions, any queries, please feel free to type your question in the comment box, or ask me in the class. Take care. Bye bye.